Hi everyone and welcome back to Stitches Past 5. My name is Vera and today I want to share some Christmas gift ideas that you could knit up, and these ones are going to be specifically for men. Because I know that it can be a little bit trickier creating things or making things homemade, knitting things for men. A, because there's way fewer patterns out there, and also B, because I don't know if these are the ones that I'm surrounded by. They're a little bit more picky, they're a little bit more, you know, like not that easy to buy for or not that easy to create for. So today I'm gonna share 25 patterns with you that I think are not going to disappoint when you give them to. Little disclaimer, this is like my opinion and, you know, male identifying people that I have around me here, so yours might be very different. So if you disagree, don't worry at all, you can leave your comments down below. But yeah, I'm gonna go through my 25 patterns. 2 are on Etsy, the rest are all on Ravelry. So I'll make a Ravelry folder and then I'll link that down below, and I'll also leave all of the individual links down below so you can find them. So I hope this serves as inspiration for you. I hope that maybe this helps you a little bit deciding what you're gonna make for your partners, your friends, your co-workers, or whoever else that you want to create or knit, in this case, a Christmas gift for. Okay, so starting with the patterns that I found on Etsy. The first one is a super cute, I'll put them all here, is a super cute gingerbread man sock. This one is a sock pattern with featuring these cute little gingerbread men. So I guess it is more of a seasonal gift. Most of these gifts or ideas that I'll be sharing are not seasonal, they're just things that you can gift. But this one is a little bit more seasonal, but I just found them super cute. The price is €2.93 where I am on Etsy. Now Etsy can differ a little bit, so I guess around €3, 3 USD, and they're knit up in regular sock yarn. Then the next sock pattern I want to share, and maybe this is a more general sock pattern, so these are socks that they could probably then wear not just around Christmas but kind of year long. Now of course there are hundreds of thousands of sock patterns out there, but I think these ones are just your standard ones. This one is called Bywater Adult / Teen Socks. It's just a striped sock pattern. The designer is Long Beach Designs, and this one is also available on Etsy for around €4. It's on sale right now, so like €4 to €5. And they're just these basic socks that look super elegant, super effective. You can make them in any colors, of course, knit up in sock yarn, and I think if you already have sock yarn lying around, these ones would be a really good choice. And also ones that I think any guy would be really happy about. Like, who doesn't need a pair of home knitted socks, because they just feel that much better and a little bit warmer, a little bit more breathable, especially during the winter. So yeah, so those 2 are my patterns on Etsy. Moving on to my patterns on Ravelry. So like I said, all of the other patterns are on Ravelry. So the first one is another pair of socks, and these are called the Syncopation Socks. These look like they're a little bit more of a finer ribbing, a finer detail. They are made of fingering weight socks, and the designer is Shalimar Yarns Breathless. But the fun thing is that this pattern is available completely for free, so you could download it right now on your Ravelry. The difficulty rating isn't that high either, although I will say that the Ravelry difficulty rating, like, I've never seen something that's actually really high. So maybe if you're a beginner knitter, the striped socks would be a better option, because the last thing you want to do is spend hours and hours, have to rush it at the end because you're kind of making these gifts like with a deadline in mind, I guess. Another thing I will say is that depending on the guy you're making these for, or the person, I mean, of course you can make them for females as well or girls as well, but color choice is key. I know that a lot of guys, they do not want to wear like bright sock. I think that's something to keep in mind. I just love always gifting something that is going to be that has some longevity to it, so I would definitely gift these because these can be worn year round. The person will always remember me when they wear them. And yeah, overall I think these are just really effective because of the pattern, and apparently not too difficult to knit up, so maybe a good project to start to gift at Christmas. Okay, then we have, I have two pairs of gloves that I want to share with you. The first ones, they caught my eye immediately, but not because they're super out there, but because they're quite sleek and very elegant, and those are the Old Mittens by Susanne Müller. I guess it's a German-speaking designer, but these are super cute. They are a ribbed glove design, a ribbed mitten design. They're just knits and pearls from what the pattern looks like, and I think these are pretty unisex glove. I think this would be a lovely, lovely pair of mittens to gift. And yeah, I think again, depending on the color and the fabric that you maybe make them out of. So the pattern calls for a gauge of 23 stitches in 10 centimeters, and it is a fully ribbed glove. And I think if you have any wool lying around at home, these would be a lovely pair of mittens to make. These mittens come at a price of €4.16 off of Ravelry, and I guess it was first published in Paula Strickt, which is a pretty famous shop on Etsy as well as Ravelry. So those are the Old Mittens. The next pair of mittens are the Manly Mitts. So this is a pattern by Elizabeth Morrison, and they're essentially these basic mittens with these, like, I guess like a herringbone vibe going on. It's not like herringbone stitch, but it's like the pattern is it's a very muted pattern. Again, color choice is key, but these are definitely mittens that guys can wear for most of the winter season, I would say. The gauge calls for 24 stitches in 10 centimeters, and it is a colorwork mitten, so it's maybe a little bit more challenging if you've never worked colorwork before, but it's also a good start, I guess. This is a free pattern, and again, available for download directly from Ravelry. Then we have a few beanies. Beanies had to make this video because I think that is probably the most popular thing to gift. The first one is a pattern by Veronica Lindberg, or also known as Kutavakika here on YouTube, and it is, I assume, or I'm guessing it's going to be part of her new book, but it is available for purchase like before, because the book hasn't dropped yet as far as I'm aware. And it's essentially this ribbed beanie, super cute. She made it in this bright red color, so I think it's always nice to have a splash of color during the darker seasons. This one has a gauge of 25 stitches per 10 centimeters in 2x2 ribbing, and yeah, it's a one size beanie, and I don't think you can ever go wrong with a basic ribbed beanie. On the topic of beanies, I think this one is also a cool one. I think when you're choosing which beanie to make, just go with that person's style. This one is a little bit different style. It's called the Montine Hat by Whitney Hayward. This one is also available on Ravelry for $5.50, so it's around the same in euros. And this one has a little bit of a larger gauge at 18.5 stitches per 10 centimeters in stockinette stitch. I think these are really cute, especially for guys. I think these were designed for guys. They picture show all different colors, and I think could be a beanie that could be worked up quite quickly. Now this one features a bit of a shorter head, so I guess depending on the style, you might want to make it longer or choose a different pattern, but I don't think you can ever go wrong with a hat like this one. Then the next one is actually a matching set, so it's a hat matching with a scarf, and I think that's also always really fun, really cute, depending on how much time you have, how close that person is to you. It would be fun to create a matching scarf with the hat that you're gifting. And there's actually a pattern for this right here. It's by Karen Design Team, and it is called the Men's Basic Hat is the hat, and then the Men's Basic Scarf is the scarf. So it's made out of the same wool, and they're both at 19 stitches per 10 centimeters as a gauge, and they're also both free patterns, so that's always nice to see. I think these are like your standard beanie and scarf. These are your very vanilla instructions, like nothing special about these, but that's exactly what a lot of guys like. Especially like the colors in the pictures, also like a very dark muted gray, but I think those are the items that they'll kind of then gravitate towards, that they'll wear over and over again. So I'm always a big fan of those, especially for people who might, you know, want to wear the things you made them but maybe aren't so out there or wouldn't have chosen the color that you chose for them. I think that's always a safe route to go for a more muted color. Okay, then I have another scarf, and I thought this one was so pretty. This one was so cool but also very sleek and pretty elegant modern, I would say. This one is the men's double knit scarf, Melissa Liebman. This one is actually a discontinued pattern, but I wanted to include it in here so that it can serve as inspiration. Maybe if you know how to do color work, you can kind of follow it from the pictures. Yeah, this one did use a gauge of 40 stitches in 10 centimeters. It was a teeny tiny gauge, but again, the pattern doesn't exist anymore, so maybe just take it as a piece of inspiration I mean, a scarf, usually you don't really need a pattern for it. It's really just a rectangle, right? So if you're a little bit of an advanced knitter, you can kind of try out some different color works or something to put in a scarf. But I still wanted to include it here because I really enjoyed the look of it. Okay, so moving away from clothing items, or accessories I should say, I purposely didn't include sweaters or anything larger in here because I think that that's always a bigger project and maybe not what you're gonna make your coworker or friend or something, because it just takes forever. If you're gonna do that, that's wonderful, that's great, I love to see it, but these are just really your kind of gifts that you can make in a day or maybe a few days that will come together quite quickly. Moving away from clothing items, the first one, I guess it's still like something you can wear, but it is an oven mitt. So if they like cooking, if they like spending time in the kitchen, I think this is a really fun gift because they can use it a lot. This one is called the Stay Cool Oven Mitt Pot Holder by Jelena Catron from Jinxed Stitches. I guess there's also an Etsy shop to go with the Jinxed Stitches shop. And yeah, this one calls for 20 stitches as a gauge, but I think for pot holders or for oven mitts you can really use most gauges around that. It's a little bit more flexible, and it does come at a cost of $3.85 or $3.80 for that pattern, straight from Ravelry. So yeah, I think this is a fun one. This is also one that you can go wild in the colors or like make it match their kitchen or, you know, personalize it. So I think an oven mitt is like a cool in-between of something wearable but that they don't, you know, feel obliged to wear it every time they see you, kind of, because it can be a little bit of an awkward conversation sometimes around knitted gifts. Okay, then I wanted to share some pillowcases that caught my eye. I think pillowcases are a really cute gift idea. Depending on the gauge of the pillowcase, it can take longer or shorter. I've gifted pillowcases in the past and I've definitely chosen gauges that were way too small, and then all I did the weeks leading up to Christmas was make these pillowcases, or this one specific pillowcase sticks out, and it was actually a crochet one, and I was just going for it, and I finished it and it looked amazing at the end, but I still wish I had chosen a bit of a different gauge. But here I have one, the Abbott Pillowcase by Diani Nanda. And yeah, this is a pretty like sleek looking pillowcase, again in muted colors, and comes at a price of €4.40 at a gauge of 16 stitches per 10 centimeters. So it is a bit of a bigger gauge. Of course, gauge doesn't really matter in pillowcases as long as you do your gauge swatches and kind of adjust accordingly, but yeah, I would definitely recommend don't go too small in your gauge when you're making pillowcases, because it is quite a lot of fabric if you think about it, or depending on how big the pillow is gonna be. Another tip is to buy the pillow before you make the pillowcase, because you can just kind of like adjust it as you go along, lengthwise especially, because yeah, often pillowcase sizes vary and maybe the pattern was written for a different size. But just a side note. Another pillowcase that stood out to me was the Canopy Pillowcase by Audrey Borrego. This one is a really cool, interesting pattern that when looked from far away kind of looks like stripes, but in closer detail it is like these small little stripes or dots. So that is an interesting yeah, construction or pattern. This one does have a gauge of 26 stitches in 10 centimeters, so that is tiny. Again, nothing wrong with making this in a bigger gauge and just sizing down your measurements or sizing down the number of stitches. I think it says 26 stitches. If you have a yarn that's like 16 stitches, you could do the maths and you could totally like upsize your gauge and also speed up the project. I think it would still look like a really cool pillowcase. This one is available on Ravelry for download for €7.15. Yeah, and the designer is, like I said, Audrey Borrego. Okay, then we kind of have the opposite in terms of gauge. Another pillowcase, Celery Pillowcase by Cisco Selpekhuvi. And it was published in Novida Knits on their website. And this one has a gauge of 9 stitches per 10 centimeters. So that one will work up quite quickly. I like the construction. I like that it's kind of like, it has that seam in the middle. Yeah, and I think this is a really cute one that you could probably knit in a day or two, given its large gauge, depending on what size pillow you're making it for. This one is available for free in Swedish, so it might take a bit of translation. I mean, it looks like a relatively simple pattern, so usually it is not that easy to translate knitting patterns, but Ravelry says it's available in English as well, which makes me think it's out there somewhere in English. But yeah, I think a really effective looking, cute pillowcase that won't take forever to complete. Okay, then we're gonna move on to other accessories, useful items that guys might appreciate. These are items that maybe don't come straight to mind when you think, oh, I'm gonna knit something for that person. So hopefully it can give you a few ideas. The first one is the Knit and Purl washcloth. So it's these cute like square washcloths. I guess you can make it in any shape really, right? The designer is Pearl Soho. And it's also a free pattern, and the pictures give you so many ideas for what colors you can make them in. And yeah, I think if you make a few of these and like gift it as a bundle, that could be really cute and really effective. And I mean, everyone kind of needs a washcloth at some point, right? So it'll be useful in one way or another. Then we have a really cute one. These are for your raiding friends, partners, coworkers, whatever in your life, and that is a library mouse, and it's a bookmark. This is so cute. Yeah, so this is a pattern by Drops, surprisingly. I mean, Drops has countless and countless free patterns on their website, right? But I think this mouse is just adorable, and I think anyone who loves reading will love receiving this as a gift. The gauge here is 26 stitches, but I mean, again, if you're a bit over, a bit under, I think it'll be totally fine as long as the mouse is long enough to fit in a book. And it's a free pattern because, yeah, it's Drops Garn Studio. The next pattern is a bit of a bigger one, so I wanted to include it in case you have lots of time and you want to really sit down and knit a lot for someone. And it's also a Pearl Soho pattern, and that is the Porto blanket. It's this big blanket with these beautiful different like patterns, which probably keeps it more engaging. And yeah, it's a free pattern, 22 stitches as a gauge. Again, bigger, smaller, probably doesn't matter too much. And yeah, it's a free download. So even if it's not a Christmas gift, I think it could be a really cool gift for a birthday, or maybe next Christmas if you start now. Okay, then the next one maybe is cute for a coworker, and that is the Twisted Cup Cozy by Joy Gonzalez. Yeah, this one is essentially like a cozy to go around a cup, a takeout cup, or like a teacup or something like that. It's a free pattern, and it looks like this one would knit up super quickly. It's essentially like a tube, I guess it's knit as a rectangle and then you sew it together. So just something small to make someone feel like you were thinking about them and you were, you handmade them a gift. I think that's always really cute. Yeah, also a free download on Ravelry. Then I wanted to include these tree coasters, these cute little coasters with a tree in them, I guess a Christmas tree, and more as inspiration that you can make coasters, and you can also knit coasters, you don't have to crochet coasters. This is a pattern by Amy Marie, and it is, like, I think for what it is, quite expensive, €4.40 or $4.40 for these cute little coasters. What intrigues me is the stitch pattern, so maybe it's just worth also learning the new stitch pattern as the outcome of these coasters. And yeah, it's available on Ravelry. What more is there to say about some cute little coasters? Okay, then I have two pouches. So the first one is the burst pouch. This one is actually crochet design, again just for inspiration. I'm sure you can also knit a rectangle, sew it together to make a pouch, but this one has like little sections for the cards and stuff. This is a design by Regina P Designs, and it costs $2 or €2.17, around there. And yeah, it's a one size pattern, crocheted, but most knitters also crochet, or many knitters also crochet, and if you don't, I'm sure you could kind of adjust it to be a knitting pattern. The next pouch is a knitted pouch, and I really love these. I think these are adorable. I think everyone can use these at any time. It is the Pearl Pouch by Tori Yu. It has these little like drawstrings, and it's like this little, like the old money pouches it reminds me of, that you can really keep anything in. So I mean, you can make these for multiple people. You can probably make multiple ones. It looks like it's a pretty easy to follow pattern. It does cost $7 or $7.70. So relatively pricey, but I think one that once you have the pattern, you'll be making a few of. Yeah, this one, I just think they're so cute, the little pouches. I think especially if you make like a few of them, they really kind of come to life a little bit more. Okay, next we have the Sunday dinner dish towels. I think these are super elegant looking. Again, if they like cooking, if they like spending time in the kitchen, I think a dish towel can be really fun gift to knit. They don't have to be super complicated. This one is by Catherine Lee Abrams and was also published on Pearl Soho. Pearl Soho is a website and they have like multiple designers. And yeah, so also a free pattern, super nice. Again here, color choice might cater more towards guys, girls, whatever, but I think these are also really pretty. You can make one in one color with accents of that color and then switch it around for the other one. It is in a linen yarn, so that's really nice in dish towels, especially for drying glass, something to keep in mind, but I'm sure you could also make them in cotton yarn and it would work as a regular dish towel as well. Okay, then on the line or on the wavelength of dish towels, we have a dishcloth. This one is a lot smaller, and this one is by Brome Fields. It is available for $3.30 USD, euros, and it's this cute little square that serves as a dishcloth or as like a placemat or something like that. Again, very effective gift, very sleek looking, and probably doesn't take too long to create. Okay, next we're kind of venturing more towards the larger items, and this one is a bath mat, which I think is super cool. The designer is Aim Peyrenot-Guyen, and it is a pattern on Ravelry for €4.40, and it's essentially these bath mats. Like, how cool is that, that you can knit a bath mat? Again, probably be careful about the yarn you choose. Wouldn't make a bath mat in wool, maybe be careful. And I mean, ideally make it so that it can also be thrown in the in the washer. But I think this could be a fun gift for a guy. Like, why not make them a bath mat? Also shouldn't take too long because the gauge is really large. It's 11 stitches on 10 centimeters. So yeah, could be a fun gift to make. The last pattern I have is another kind of larger item, and that is the Irene Table Runner Board Looper by Marit Closet. It's essentially a table runner, again in different like stitches to make it visually interesting yet keep it quite sleek. This is a free download on Ravelry, and yeah, I think could also be a fun gift for guys who might be a little bit trickier to make things for. Okay, so that's already the end of all the patterns that I wanted to share today. I hope you enjoyed this overview. I hope it gave you a little bit of inspiration, maybe helped you think out of the box a little bit. Yeah, again, I tried to pick patterns that weren't gonna take too long. Of course, depending on your skill level and experience, that might or might not be the case. But yeah, I love creating homemade gifts, knitting my own, and also ones that are functional, right? So yeah, Alright, well, if you enjoyed this video, I'd love for you to give it a thumbs up and maybe even subscribe to stick around. And thanks for watching. I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!